Well, hello, this is Joe Walensky, and I'm the conference director for Convey UX, and we have our 14th annual event coming up April 13 in Seattle, and we're really looking forward to that. And I get the opportunity to chat with our featured speakers for a few minutes. And today I'm talking with Catherine Dubut. Hello, Catherine. How are you today?
Hi, Joe. Good. Thank you.
Well, I'm talking from my home office in Bellingham, Washington, which is about 80 miles north of Seattle. Where are you talking to us from?
Seattle, right in Capitol Hill.
All right, great neighborhood. It's great to have you in the program and appreciate your participation. And we'd like to find a little bit, if you could share information just about yourself, your background, and the nature of the work that you're involved in.
Sure. So my name is Catherine Dubut. I am the head of UX for the Ford Pro business at Ford Motor Company. I've been with Ford for about 4 years now and have really been a part of Ford's digital transformation overall as a company. Prior to that, I was at Samsung, have been at REI, have been at startups, and have come from both a designer as well as researcher background. Have been doing this user experience journey since almost 15 years now. And I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Well, you mentioned the digital transformation aspect, and I know most people are familiar with how digital technology is appearing in our vehicles. But what does it mean for you at Ford in terms of the types of things that you're responsible for and that are delivered as products in your vehicles?
Yeah. So Ford Motor Company, as many people know, is a legacy automaker that has been around for 123 or so years. They have a huge history of product development. Um, and uh, they, like many others in the automotive industry, are going through a lot of change right now, particularly with the introduction of a lot more electric vehicles, and as well as a lot of competitors coming into the space. So, what's really interesting about my role at Ford is that I focus on the B2B commercial space within the company. And that is a really big part of the business. And it's also really an interesting time because we're looking at different factors like in vehicle technology, over the air updates, being able to look at the data and glean insights from it. And then from a commercial perspective, we're looking at business owners who want to be able to manage their fleets remotely. So that can be anywhere from a really small, medium business to a large enterprise with thousands and thousands of vehicles. So, what we work on are the digital tools that help drive that learning and that relationship with primarily fleet managers who are our customers, but also a lot of different other players within the auto industry. So it's a really interesting time to be there, particularly for a company that is learning while we are doing. So that can be, from the technology within the physical vehicle itself to, software technology that you and I may be a little bit more used to in the SaaS kind of world or the application type of world. So, what's interesting about my role is I joined about 4 years ago when the brand as Ford Pro was introduced, and we really wanted to build up buzz for it, marketing, build a website, digital properties for it, as well as integrating a lot of different legacy systems on different tech stacks into one place. So you can imagine that that's quite a bit of a fragmented landscape to start from. And I started out my journey with the team building up more of the marketing and education website. And today I'm more working on the platform and the software kind of tools and functionality. And I have experience with both. I probably have more experience on the software side. But when I worked at Samsung, I was also on the marketing side. And so it's really been an interesting journey for me as a leader to be able to get hired on to build up this um, design maturity, user experience maturity into this particular part of the business. Um, so there's these layers of B2B and enterprise audiences and users, and then there's this interplay between, um, how do we differentiate between a consumer and a B2B end user? We also have other players in this that could be internal folks as well as partners like upfitters who help customize vehicles for different uses, different jobs, different work uses, really anything you can think of, any industry like construction, delivery, the trades. So it's a really large landscape to learn from. I'm constantly still learning a lot of the things about the business, and I've been here probably longer than some of my other peers, depending on who you ask. Um, so that lens plus, building and scaling design, plus the complexities of the technology is just something that has been a really interesting learning journey. And so this topic can encompass a lot, but I think one of some of the things that I'd like to focus on are, what are the things that I've learned coming in new to the auto industry that can be applied really in any sort of uh, design leadership role, or really even just leadership role, whether it's in name or what you do. So I think that's going to be a really interesting topic to cover, and hopefully a valuable perspective to bring to the audience.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing all the detail about your background and the way that Ford works with digital transformation. And just to list the title of your topic, that's Leadership in a Time of Digital Transformation. And this event does have a focus on leadership skills for those that will be attending. If I could ask you just maybe one follow-up, may or may not be part of what you're going to talk about, but do you find that your leadership activities in this particular domain is different from how you may have done things in prior roles?
Yes, in a few ways. One is the scale of the organization, and by organization, I mean Ford Motor Company, and even within the commercial space is large. I mean, Ford is one of the oldest corporations in America, but they also have global reach. And some of the teams we work with are in other countries. So it's not just what we know, but also culturally what other markets know and how they run their businesses. So there's a lot of asking questions really to understand how do you how do you run business differently than how do we run business, and how can we bridge those gaps but also make it scalable, right? So there's just the scale at which I've worked here at Ford is just a completely different level. I had some exposure at Samsung, having worked on in the US market specifically, and having other partners globally. Um, and so it's really been something I've not really been exposed to. I think in a lot of my prior roles, it really was more US, North America centric. So I just want to emphasize that that is definitely a bigger consideration. I think most people give it just because some of us are remote, some of us are in person. You always have to be communicating. So I think it's really taught me a lot about communication that I maybe wasn't as exposed to in prior roles. but I also grew as a leader at the same time. And so, you know, as someone who oversees both individual contributors and managers, there's different layers of how you communicate to different audiences. And I think that's probably going to be, that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that I've learned and will share more about. I've always known that that's a very core um, uh, skill set for any designer, but I think, or any UXer, but I think it becomes even more critical. And I get asked all the time, like, how can I grow? And I am always emphasizing that because it's something that maybe we aren't quite taught, whether in design school or on the job training. It's something that comes with experience, in a way that is not really tested until you are really working at with so many different teams and cultures. And so I think that's a very short answer to a much bigger question, um just right off the top of my head.
Well, that was just a great amount of information, and I'm sure people will look forward to being in attendance and having the chance to listen to what you have to say, and then just meeting and chatting informally as we have an opportunity to do so. Catherine, thanks so much for taking a few minutes here to talk about your background and the things that you'll be presenting at the conference.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.